Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for a link to my Amazon store where I've compiled some of the very best items available, including some of my own personal recommendations. Thanks! What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a really cool custom knife overview to share with you guys. This is a Marfione custom mini matrix. Very, very cool. This knife was sent to me once again by Mr. Jeff Good. Now it's on loan. He didn't give it to me. Jeff, you guys probably all know, you've heard me say Jeff many times in this channel. He has sent many amazing knives for review on the channel. Why am I saying channel over and over again? He's sent many amazing knives for review, and without his help, I certainly wouldn't be able to bring you guys daily knife content. So thank you so much, Jeff. Also, of course, thank you so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me right now. If you'd like to check out my Patreon and get your hands on some of these cool stickers, there is, of course, a link down in the description. The support would mean the world to me. So this is a custom knife, and you guys know the drill with custom knives on this channel. It's more of a show and tell. It's an overview. These are, a lot of times, these knives are definitely made to be used, which this one definitely is, but it's also a presentation piece that is largely handmade, if not entirely handmade. And it also makes it a knife that is wildly expensive because of that. Knives that are made, there's three elements going on here. It's made in the USA, so manufacturing and labor costs are definitely higher, right? It is also handmade, which definitely takes way more time, right? It just really doesn't matter exactly what it's made out of, right? Those are huge factors. So, regardless of what it is capable of and what it is made out of, it is a knife that costs substantially more money than a regular production folding knife. This is, I'll let you guys know, these are about $800, I believe, when they are available. So for that reason, it puts them completely out of the realm of, obtainable for most people. And for all of those reasons, I don't do reviews on custom knives. I do overviews, and I just give you guys something to watch and be entertained by. So that's what this is. Also, this particular one was actually not made recently. This one is from 2016. So even if I was doing a review on it, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense because the newer versions of these are likely made now in 2020, right? Funny story. So when I unboxed this for the first time ever handling a mini matrix, somebody got so bent out of shape that I didn't know that it was the mini. And they said I was a fraud because I didn't know what that was. Yeah, so I guess that person was just born into the world with every single knife that has ever existed. Just so everybody knows, a lot of times when I'm unboxing a knife, it is the very first time I've ever experienced it. And being somebody who has handled hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of knives and has legitimately uploaded over 1,000 videos on the channel, yeah, there are still definitely knives that I have not experienced. So if any, I feel like nobody else was confused about that, but apparently that guy was. Anyways, let's go ahead and get some measurements on this guy. The overall length of the mini matrix. Part of the confusion with the whole mini thing is that this feels like a full-size knife. Blade to the end of the knife, not counting the glass breaker, comes in at about 7.5 inches. With the glass breaker, you could make an argument for 8 inches. Blade length coming in at exactly 3.25. Cutting edge coming in just shy of 3.25. Let's do some size comparisons. We'll go ahead and move this down here. Up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. Rat 1 is coming in at 8.6 inches overall. So it's not a small knife, but it's not a huge knife either. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Reptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Did I say that right? 8.3 inches? I always on autopilot during some of these. Spyderco PM2 is 8.3 inches overall. The Benchmade Reptilian, or in this case the Ritter Hogue, is 8 inches overall, so it's just shy of the same length as the Reptilian. And then last but not least, the Spyderco PM Para 3 is coming in at 7.25 inches overall, so it's a little bit longer than the Spyderco Para 3. It actually looks longer than 1/4 inch, so we're going to measure that one more time just to be 100% accurate. Yeah, it is 7.5, and the Para 3 is 7.25. Okay, well, my eyes are just playing tricks on me. How's the action on this guy? Well, this is part of the reason I don't do, full reviews on custom knives, and especially custom knives that were made a while ago. The action is okay. I mean, the D10 is definitely properly tuned. It's basically just the feeling of the bearings on the steel surface on the inside. I'm sure there's a pocket milled out inside the carbon fiber so that the bearings can ride on what is undoubtedly the inside of that huge fastener head. It's okay. It's not anything special. It's certainly not gonna, I mean, like, it's definitely functional. No, I mean, functionally, it's no problem. The knife is gonna easily deploy. There's a lot of different means of deployment, which we're gonna talk about here in a sec. But it's more indicative of what I would expect from a custom knife, you know, 4.5 years ago, right? But again, this was made in 2016. If you pick a custom, I've handled multiple Marfione custom, signature series, production knives, Microtech knives, right? This one probably feels subpar because it is a custom knife that was made in 2016. It's okay though. I will say this, holy moly, this knife makes one of the coolest noises when you deploy it. Listen. Man, lots of clicks and clacks and just, click. I love that. Very cool. It's also very easy to deploy this knife using that little opening slot there. It's nice and large. It's easy to do that. It's easy to pinch open it and use your thumb. It's a little bit harder to do this. In fact, it's not really going to work. But yeah, doing the reverse flick and using the flipper tab, it's definitely got a properly tuned detent, flies into position. It's just not the smoothest on the pivot, right? We've got, you know, nowadays, again, I know people are going to complain, this should have better action for a custom knife. This was made in 2016. In 2016, Zero Tolerance basically had the best flipping action that you could possibly expect, right? And we all know that while ZTs have great flipping action, lots of knives in the same price range have vastly surpassed Zero Tolerance. This feels okay, kind of right around where ZT was in 2014 to 2016. Right? So any complaints about the action are completely irrelevant because this is a 4.5-year-old custom. So I know I still didn't prevent any complaints, but anyways, the action's really not that bad. I'd give the action probably a 7.5 out of 10. Still definitely better than a lot of the action that I feel on modern folding knives even today that just aren't put together correctly. But yeah, I think it's just fine. Let's go ahead and do, well, we can't do the hardware check because I do not have the tri-wing tool or whatever you would use to undo that. In one of my last Marfione videos, Marfione knife videos, I think it was on the Sigil, people told me that, yeah, there is actually a tri-wing tool that is periodically available on some retailers. So despite it being a proprietary fastener and requiring the appropriate proprietary tool, you can't apparently get it. It's still kind of like a, you know, I'm gonna buy a tool to get into it. That sucks, but apparently you can buy a tool to get into it. So I don't like that. I wish everything was just Torx or, you know, Hex or Phillips head, right? It's not, doesn't look as cool, right? This certainly looks cooler. But yeah, if you want to get into it, you have to buy the tool. Let's go ahead and do carry profile up against the Spyderco Para 3. As you can see here, it is nice and thin, pretty much exactly the same thickness. How about height and overall profile? Looking at it this way, up against the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3 2 knives that have unquestionably awkward carry profiles that nobody ever seems to complain about. You can see there that we're looking at an overall length of basically the same as the Para 3, except for that, you know, hornet stinger of a glass breaker on the butt end. And about a little bit less, even including the glass breaker versus the PM2. It is definitely not as tall, even though it looks like it might be. I'm telling you guys, it's definitely not as tall as the Spyderco PM2, even at maximum height. Or we've got that thing sitting on top of there, but I'm telling you, the PM2 is definitely taller. The best thing about this knife is its incredible lightweight. Let me go ahead and get you guys a measurement of the blade stock thickness. Blade stock thickness on this guy, not thick. 125 thousandths, that's great. We're going to talk about the blade here in a second. I got lots to say about that blade for sure. Let's go ahead and weigh it. We are looking at a, I guess you can call this a sub frame lock, right? It's one of those frame locks that attaches to the inside of the carbon fiber. The inside of this is pretty much all carbon fiber, and they call it 30K carbon fiber. I'm going to guess that means, am I stupid, or does that actually mean 30,000 layer carbon fiber? They call it 30K layer carbon fiber. 30,000 layers. If that's true, that's crazy. I don't know what normal carbon fiber is. Like if you get a ZT0562CF, how many layers of carbon fiber in that? No idea. Visually, I don't know. I mean, it certainly does look nice. I don't know that to the eye I could point out 30K carbon fiber over regular carbon fiber. I definitely know what real carbon fiber looks like over just a laminate or something that's trying to pass as carbon fiber, right? I'll give you an example. Something that looks to be both laminate and less of a high quality carbon fiber, right? On this CJRB Crag, right? It's okay. It's nice to look at, but it definitely is laminate, and it certainly is nowhere near as attractive as the carbon fiber on this mini matrix. So there's an example of that there. But the 30,000 layer, I don't know that I could pick it out, but that's neat if that's actually what it means. Let's go ahead and weigh this guy. Whew, 2.8 ounces. That's awesome. That's a winner if you go by the whole ounce and inch thing on the blade. Absolutely. Very, very cool. I don't think very many people are going to complain about that. The only people who are going to consider that heavy are people who only carry the bug out. This is still not a knife that's going to be the best in athletic shorts, right, or skinny jeans, but considering how thin and light it is, it's going to be pretty okay in just about any situation, except for that glass breaker, which we're going to talk about here in a sec as soon as I get this very annoying speck off of my... The nice thing about this background now is that it's much easier to clean, but it also shows every last little tiny piece of debris that lands on it. And I'm in a basement, so there's debris. All right, so did we cover all of that? Yeah, I think we did. So let's go ahead and take a look at the anatomy of this guy. Despite the proprietary systems here, everything does look great, and it is all fitted just perfectly. You can see we have some intentionally larger areas on the top and bottom of the pivot versus the left and right hand side. That's just a nice, you know, just a little touch to make it look nice. The scales actually are contoured, and then they've got some areas right here that they've cut out. All of this is nicely knocked down. Nothing sharp anywhere. Take a look at that backspacer. Man, that is crazy. Lots going on there. Sort of almost looks floating, sort of up and down. Lots of extra work went into the backspacer there. The glass breaker looks cool. It's just very, very pointy, right? And here's the problem. We'll go ahead and talk about that. Pushing this thing into your pocket, I get this pocket clip over the seam, and then I go to push it with the palm of my hand. And most of the time, I can adjust to where that glass breaker is not destroying my palm. But if I make the wrong move, right, if I'm just trying to use this knife and just push that knife into my pocket without thinking about it, that thing is super pointy, and it is not comfortable on the palm of your hand. I really don't like that. And I think there are sites that offer aftermarket screws that you can actually put in place of the breaker. Somebody pointed that out to me. Sometimes you can't. If you just hate the breaker, you can buy a really inexpensive screw that just goes in and holds the pocket clip in the same way, and you can just remove the glass breaker. I like their newer designs where it's just a... now, I don't know if the matrix changed, but I'll give you an example of a glass breaker that I think is totally fine. I always prefer not to have a glass breaker, but here, this is my Combat Trudon Signature Series. This is fine. It's a ball bearing. It's definitely going to do the job just as well. The first time you use that, it's gonna knock that tip down, right? This is just fine, and it's not a problem. It doesn't hurt my hand at all to put it into the pocket. So maybe they've changed that, maybe they haven't. But if that's still the design on the new ones, yeah, I don't really like that. But whatever, you know, it is what it is. This is from 2016. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at this blade. Boy, I got a lot to say about this blade. First off, the stonewash finish is awesome. I mean, it's not a mirror stonewash, but it's very high polish on the stonewashing. This is beautiful. And then we have this sort of lighter, non-reflective sort of, it looks like hand rubbed satin up on the flat. And then you have this area here that was milled out. This is all great. Really nicely knocked down. Really, really just beautiful. And then the jimping up here, I don't know why they've divided it, but it's slightly functional. Ergonomically, this thing is just gold. I mean, it is really nice to hang on to. No problem. This is great. I love the blade shape. Guys, this edge, oh my goodness. This is thin. Let me see if I can get the camera to focus. It's just lint there on the blade. Yeah, that is a very, very thin edge. That is a performer. It feels hollow ground. Yeah. Hollow ground blade on a stock that starts out at 125 thousandths. That thing gets very thin, and there's plenty of cutting belly, right? The tip isn't, you know, that super delicate. They do have crowning up here. The spine is all nicely crowned, so the same thing they do on the Sebenza. Beautiful, beautiful blade, absolutely. Flipper tab is very easy. By the way, the knife is very easy to disengage and engage. There is a detent ball ramp, so it's sliding right over that ramp. Flipper tab is nicely shaped. It's all knocked down. Landing zone is good, so it's very easy to flip over and over and over again. We do have rounding back here, shouldering, I guess, over the stop pin. And the stop pin itself is actually kind of decorative, which is neat. I don't know that I've ever seen a partially decorative stop pin. Still plenty of surface contact, right? So that's cool. The 30,000 layer, I guess, carbon fiber really does look great. Again, it's hard for me to distinguish between this carbon fiber and regular carbon fiber, you know, if it's real, but it looks really, really good. Glass breaker is fitted perfectly. Looks the same all the way around. It's just really pointy. The whole thing reminds me of a hornet that's going in for a sting. And that's really what it looks like to me. I guess a hornet going in for a sting would look like this, right? What the heck are we watching here? But yeah, beautiful. All the way, I mean, all the way around, this is a beautiful knife. I know people want me to talk about the Matrix-Natrix drama. I'm not. You can look that up for yourself. The pocket clip here has the Marfione dagger on it, and then it also should have, let's see, if can we focus in? Yeah, it says Mini Matrix 05 of 2016. And then up here it says A Marfione, so that's cool. The pocket clip is a deep carry pocket clip, but a lot of that glass breaker sticks out, so you could argue whether or not that's truly deep carry, right? The knife, the main part of the knife is absolutely deep carry. It goes all the way up to the top. Lanyard hole is completely out of the way. I like their design there. It's really not obtrusive, and you can put a lanyard on it if you want, and if you don't want to, you can ignore it. 2 screws down here where the titanium sub-frame lock attaches. You can see there that plate on the inside. The other side of the knife is much the same as the front, except for you have this dark, almost looks bead blasted. Yeah. The other cool thing is that there's actually some micro milling, if I can get it in just the right. Can I show that? Yeah, a little tiny bit of texturing going on that lock there. The knife locks up. It doesn't look like it, but I think it's actually locking up at about 25%. It does have a steel lock bar insert that doubles as the over travel stop, so that's nice. It absolutely is there. And this knife is completely and totally solid, and it is also dead centered. You can see there it's absolutely going right down the middle. That's really cool. Really, the only two things about this knife that bother me are the action, which is again more indicative of a custom knife from 2016. I would imagine newer custom knives don't exhibit that same feeling. It's not bad. It's just not close. It's not anything like what I've experienced here lately. And then, boy, that glass breaker is really pointing. This is a cool knife for sure. I mean, like if you really want a performance custom knife, you're a big fan of carbon fiber, you like the lightweight, right? Man, this is cool. These come in, like I said, like if you look up the 2016 ones of these, I think this knife was originally listed, or one exactly like it was listed on Blade HQ for like $745. I want to say these come in base right now between $800 and $845. Is that price justified? You're going to have to make that decision for yourself. Knives like this, custom knives, doesn't matter what they're made out of, right? A lot of intense labor goes into these, right? So I know my comment section is going to be filled up with who would ever pay that much, or it can't possibly be worth that much. I feel like this, I feel like that. Everybody has a million different opinions, so you can argue that if you want. But the exact same argument was made in probably 2016 and probably the last decade before that. So it'll do the same thing now as it did then, which is nothing. These knives are Marfione custom knives worth the money to people who are interested in custom knives, have been purchasing custom knives for some time, and have the money, you know, have the means of acquiring things like that. The Marfione customs that I have experienced definitely exhibit qualities that are indicative or that share the same qualities of knives in the same price range. In some cases, I look at Marfione customs and I'm like, boy, that is really up there, right? But he does use some crazy exotic materials sometimes, you know. I don't think it's a bad way to spend your money. In fact, Tony Marfione and Microtech have been known for excellent overall fit and finish and quality for a really long time. I don't think the action is anything that you should be worried about, considering this is a 2016 model. For the most part, I think you can expect basically perfect fit and finish. You can expect blades that are made out of premium materials, which, by the way, this is M390, right? You can get a lot of different things, right? I would say you're safe with Marfione's quality if you plan to spend that much money and you're looking at Marfione custom knives. As far as Marfione custom knives go, however, this is on the lower end. It's pretty common to see knives well over $1,500 in terms of a Marfione custom, right? Absolutely. So this was really, really cool. I'm going to put it in my custom knives playlist where you guys can check out other custom knives that I have reviewed on this channel, and semi-customs. Semi-customs and customs alike go in that same playlist. That's going to be pretty much it today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out, and if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that metal complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.